Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Capital G here, and pardon me for being a little soft-spoken. Wife's asleep, my daughter's asleep, and, well, I don't have any daytime recording time, really, for the foreseeable future, so I'm going to try to sneak this one in. Before we get to our deck tech, again, I'd like to remind and invite everyone to join up with me and around 200 other players on the Dungeons and Cardboard Discord group. Invite link will be in the description below. I'd also like to invite everyone to follow XD Bulldog 2327 over on Twitch. I've been making a few appearances on his Twitch channel, and he's already done me a solid and earned me at least one subscriber since I started appearing on his show. So there we go. So shout out to Bulldog 2327 and shout out to the rest of the Dungeons and Cardboard crew. One member of which I'd like to thank for inspiring me, albeit inadvertently, to do a Bruenor Battlehammer deck. Yes, we are in fact playing Boros equipment again. One thing I do find cool about Boros equipment commanders is that as of late there's been quite the variety to choose from, and each have their own strengths and weaknesses. So while my previous Boros equipment example, Akiri, is a bit more mid-rangey and a bit more card drawy and wanting to attack everyone at once, Bruenor Battlehammer is more of a blunt object, and we're definitely going for the Voltron win. That is a white, a red, and 2 for this 5/3 Dwarf Warrior. Each creature you control gets +2/+0 for each equipment attached to it. That's actually really cool, just make your equipment even better. And also, you may pay 0 rather than pay the equip cost of the first equip ability you activate each turn. So yeah, every time you activate an equipment, you just pay 0. Well, not every time, but the first time each turn. Keep in mind that if you pay for your first equipment, then you don't get this benefit anymore. If you forget and you randomly pay for your first equip ability. So do be careful on that. So yeah, Voltron is the way we are going. So let us look at the deck. We're going to start with our artifacts. That's going to be both our equipments and our mana rocks. So let's start with a big one, Argentum Armor. Not super playable typically, 6 to cast and 6 to equip. The benefits are certainly there. Equipped creature gets +6/+6, and whenever equipped creature attacks, destroy target permanent. But Bruenor says it's +8/+6 and equip 0. The Black Blade Reforged scales well to the game. Super cheap to cast. It's only 3 to equip even if we don't use Bruenor's ability. The Blazing Sunsteel, a red and 1 for this equipment. Coming in from the Commander Legends. Equipped creature has +1/+0 for each opponent you have. So let's say it's at least +3/+0. And then whenever equipped creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target. So it's a good way to protect against a lot of the damage-based board wipes, because whoever throws a Blasphemous Act out is going to eat 13 damage, more than likely. Running the Bone Splitter. 1 mana +2/+0, or 1 mana +4/+0, the way I like to look at it, and 1 to equip. The Boros Signet for the acceleration, of course. We're running Chariot of Victory. 3 mana for this equipment that grants First Strike, Trample, and Haste. The First Strike and Trample will help our Bruenor not only survive combat, but also maybe roll through and for some damage. Haste is never a bad thing, and the cheap equip cost is worth it. Colossus Hammer. 1 mana. And we all know it well, equipped creature gets +10/+10 and loses flying, an equip of 8. Of course it's Bruenor, so it's equip of 0. It's not any better than any other equipment in the deck, really, but just the fact that we can throw this on for free, and it's super thematic, giving a dwarf a hammer. Gotta do it. Running Fire Diamond for some acceleration. Fire Shrieker as one of the many ways to grant double strike. All it takes is 1 piece of equipment to put Bruenor into the 3 hit range, 7 power. 3 times 7 is 21 commander damage. Fire Shrieker will definitely bring it to 2 just on its own. And if you have other equipment to go with it, it's lights out. Running Great Axe. The reason I run Great Axe here, 1 generic to cast it. Equipped creature gets +4/+0. But on Bruenor, that's +6/+0, which means Bruenor gets to 11 power with just 1 piece of equipment. And, well, 11 times 2 equals lights out. Haunted Cloak, here for the same reasons as the Chariot of Victory, grants similar abilities, in this case Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. The Hero's Blade, equipped creature gets +3/+2, equips for free whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under our control. We can equip it for free that way. Another nice top-end piece of equipment, the Cauldron Complete. Love this card. 7 mana for this equipment. Living Weapon, Indestructible. A nice throwback to the original Cauldron equipment from Mirrodin Block. Equipped creature gets +5/+5, has First Strike, Trample, Indestructible, Haste, and whenever this deals combat damage to a creature, exile that creature. Ignore the equip cost because, well, we equip for 0. Loxodon Warhammer, here mainly for the trample. The lifelink is nice, but it's here mostly for the trample and the +3/0. Marble Diamond, of course. Mind Stone, which we can sack off for a card later. Running Nettlecyst, we have more than enough artifacts to justify its presence, I think. And it also gives us a blocker in case we need to swing with Bruenor and hold something back to block. Plate Armor, we're running more than enough equipment to, equip this for free even if we're not using Bruenor's ability to do it. Equipped creature gets +3/+3 and has Ward 1, so a little harder to target, and quite the buff on both offense and defense. Running the Robe of Stars. It's Bruenor or bust for this deck. So having the Robe of Stars on our commander means we can phase it out and dodge all sorts of removal. Super cheap to equip too, so it doesn't have to be our first piece of equipment. Sol Ring. Sunforger, because we're in Boros, of course, and we've got quite the package to go with this. Also the fact that the Sunforger is +4/+0 on its own, an additional 2 with Bruenor, again, means that Bruenor goes into the 2-hit range. Swiftfoot Boots for the Hexproof and the Haste. Sword of Vengeance for all of the keywords. Talisman of Conviction for some mana. And the Trailblazer's Boots. We don't want to be blocked. This will help us not get blocked by giving our Bruenor non-basic land walk. I did consider Whisper Silk Cloak. The Shroud kind of gets in the way and is very awkward to work around, which is why I ended up not using it. But I would not blame you if you were building a Bruenor deck and wanted to have that Shroud and that unblock ability. Creatures including, again, my Boros commander, Akiri, Fearless Voyager, gets us a little bit of card draw and also gives us some protection for our commander. We can just pay a white and unattach an equipment to give our commander indestructible. Running the Brass Squire, tap it to attach an equipment we control to a creature we control. Sure thing. Core Blade Master, equipped warriors we control have double strike. Bruenor is in fact a warrior, just saying. Running Magda, Brazen Outlaw. Other dwarves we control get +1/+0, so by pure coincidence, it buffs our commander. Whenever a dwarf we control becomes tapped, create a treasure token. Our commander is a dwarf. It's going to help us create some treasures. Magda, of course, will also swing out and get some treasures for us. And, of course, sack 5 treasures. We can search our library for an artifact or a dragon. Spoiler alert, no dragons, but we can get any artifact that we want, put it onto the battlefield. Pure Steel Paladin. If we have additional pieces of equipment that we want to throw into Bruenor, we do it for free. And also, whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under control, we may draw a card. Definitely a worthwhile add. And Sram Senior Edificer rounds it out, another dwarf that, when paired with Magda, can get us some treasures, but really here to draw some cards whenever we cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle. Spoiler alert, no vehicles, a couple of auras though. Moving on to our enchantments with Fighter Class. When this enters the battlefield, we get to search our library for an equipment. So for 2 mana at sorcery speed, just go get whatever equipment we need. Level 2, we can pay 3 to reduce our equip abilities, cost by 2. I don't know if that's going to be super necessary for us. And of course, level 3, whenever a creature we control attacks, up to one target creature blocks it this combat if able. So we're not really playing for level 2 or level 3. Level 1 on its own is what brings the card to the deck. Forging the Tyrite Sword, again one of my favorite auras, or sagas in this case. White, red, 1. Chapters 1 and 2 nets us a treasure token, so we can ramp up pretty quickly with this. Chapter 3 lets us get an equipment card. Notice that we are not running Halvar, as good as Halvar is. It's just here to get us the ramp and the equipment. Sigarda's Aid, because any Boros deck should have this if they're running auras and equipment. Reason being, whenever we cast an equipment spell, we get to attach it for free. Spirit Mantle, one of my auras. Running 2 of these that grant us protection from creatures. In the case of Spirit Mantle, it's +1/+1 protection from creatures. We're also running Timely Ward. We can cast it at flash speed if we have our commander, which we will because the target for Timely Ward is our commander. And the enchanted creature has Indestructible. Unquestioned Authority rounds out the aura package by not only giving Brunor protection from creatures, but drawing us a card as well. Going on to instants in sorceries. Lots of instants, of course. We're going to start with a Braid, 3 damage to any creature or destroy target artifact. Sweet. Running the Bolt Bend, someone tries to throw some exile removal at our commander. We'll direct that elsewhere for just 1 red mana, thank you very much. Boros Charm to... well, all 3 modes are good. 4 damage to a player or planeswalker. Permanents we control gain Indestructible, or target creature gains double strike. All 3 modes, very useful, very powerful. Boros Charm is fantastic, always has been. Running Chaos Warp, the universal targeted removal spell. Running Condemn, so if somebody tries to crack back at us, we'll throw it on the bottom of their library. Crush Contraband. Exile an artifact, exile an enchantment at instant speed. Running the Dawn Charm, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn, so it's a 2 mana fog basically, or we can regenerate a creature, which will likely be Bruenor, so it's another way to protect him, or counter a spell that targets us. Running Deflecting Palm, so next time a source of our choice would deal damage to us, this turn we get to prevent the damage and direct it to that source's controller. So again, nice little piece of defense if someone cracks back at us. Straight up Disenchant. You're always going to have a target for Disenchant. Generous Gift. Again, any permanent that we need gone is gone. Master of Warcraft. Take full control of combat. And it doesn't have to be ours. There's lots of things we can do with this. We can, like I said, when our opponents are ready to go into their combat step, we cast this and control their combat step and do whatever we want with it. Alternatively, we can just cast it on our turn and make sure that Brunor doesn't get blocked. So we have lots of flexibility here. Psychotic Fury. Our commander just happens to be multicolored. Let's give him double strike and draw a card. Response Resurgence. Here's a spicy one. So let's start with the response side. You pay 2 Boros mana, so any combination of white and red, to deal 5 damage to an attacking or blocking creature. Just take it out. Alternatively, we can use Resurgence to give our creatures first strike and vigilance until end of turn, and gain an additional combat step. The Swords to Plowshares, of course, best creature removal in the game. Temur Battle Rage, again, double strike, and because our commander will be ferocious, Trample. Running the Unbreakable formation to give our creatures Indestructible. Not that we have a lot of creatures, but we can protect our Brunor this way for certain. Valorous Stance, this one's spicy. We can take down a creature of toughness 4 or greater, or we can grant Brunor Indestructible. Wear and Tear, again, destroys an artifact or an enchantment, or both. This does have the fuse ability on it, so when you see these double face cards, or Let's call it a double face card, and it has the fuse thing along the bottom. That means you can cast both sides in one shot. Wild Ricochet lets us take any targeted spell, choose new targets, and we get to copy it and choose new targets for the copy. Amazing. Word of Seizing, we cannot get this with our Sunforger, unfortunately, but this is a good way to clear out a blocker and put it on our side of the board. Moving on to our sorceries. Let's make Brunor really, really big, and then Chandra's Ignition, and just clear the rest of the board out. Boom. Also running the Divine Reckoning. We only ever really need to keep one creature, and it's Brunor, so let's make it nice and symmetrical, or asymmetrical as it were, because we're keeping the best creature on the board. Ours. Open the armory. Also go get an aura or equipment, so this can actually get us our protection from creature auras, as well as any equipment that we may or may not need. Seize the Day. Untap target creature. Get an additional combat phase. Just go, like, once you have a bunch of mana and you've got Brunor fully equipped, just go nuts. Running the Song Mad Treachery, another way to, take away one of our opponent's blockers and put it on our side of the board. Alternatively, we can play it as Song Mad Ruins, a tapped land that, would produce red for us. And Vanquish the Horde, of course, coming in from Midnight Hunt. It's going to be double white to destroy all creatures, because if we're using this, that's because there's probably 6 or more creatures on the board already, and they're not on our side. That's it for our spells. So I have 36 other lands. With the MDFC, it gives us a total of 37. Going with the Battlefield Forge, Barrow's Garrison, the Command Tower. We're running a bunch of land destruction in this particular version, just some targeted stuff, of course, like Encroaching Waste, which lets us destroy a non-basic land, albeit at a high cost. Inspiring Vantage, 11 Mountains, a Myriad Landscape to help us ramp up. Needle Verge Pathway, which can be a red source or a white source. 12 Plains, 1 Rogue's Passage, a Rustvale Bridge, which complements our Nettle Cyst. Sacred Foundry, the Slayer's Stronghold, grants one of our creatures +2/0 in Vigilance and Haste, really sweet. Sunhome, another source of double strike for us. And the Windscarred Crag. And that is our take on Brunor. I'd like to actually give the special thanks to Flaming Bear Inc., one of our members on the Dungeons and Cardboard. He let me review a deck of his that he's running Brunor for a little mini tournament that we are running in the Discord group. And while this list is not his list, or not the list that he went with in the end, it was definitely fun to see the differences between Bruenor and Akiri when we were looking it over and kind of brainstorming the deck for his tournament. So yeah, no, I will not be playing in the tournament. As an admin, I get to, watch and make sure everyone's having a good time. So I'm hoping to watch a couple of games when we start the tournament later today. In the meantime, I think I hear my little one coughing, so hopefully I have not woken her up. Only one way to find out, and that's to end the video here and go check on her. Good night, everyone. We'll see you next time.